in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. They're all expecting me, and that's one thing I know. My Savior pardoned me, and now I onward go. I know He'll take me through, though I am weak and poor, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Just up in glory land we'll live eternally. The saints on every hand are shouting victory. Their song of sweetest praise drifts back from heaven's shore, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. Oh Lord, you know I have no friend like you. If heaven's not my home, then Lord, what will I do? The angels beckon me from heaven's open door, and I can't feel at home in this world anymore. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For the Lord is present, and where He is holy. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For the Lord is present, and where He is holy. We are standing on holy ground, and I know that there are angels all around. Let us praise Jesus now. We are standing in His presence on holy ground. You are beautiful beyond description, too marvelous for words, too wonderful for comprehension, like nothing ever seen or heard. Who can grasp your infinite wisdom? Who can fathom the depth of your love? You are beautiful beyond description, majesty enthroned above. And I stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. Holy God, to whom all praise is due, I stand in awe of you. You are beautiful beyond description, too marvelous for words, too wonderful for comprehension, like nothing ever seen or heard. Who can grasp your infinite wisdom? Who can fathom the depth of your love? You are beautiful beyond description, majesty enthroned above. And I stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. Holy God, to whom all praise is due, I stand in awe of you. And I stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. Holy God, to whom all praise is due. I stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. I stand in awe of you. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. My help comes from the Lord. My help comes from the Lord. Maker of heaven and earth. 1,000 may fall at my side, 10,000 at my right hand. But my help comes from the Lord. My help comes from the Lord. My help comes from the Lord. Maker of heaven and earth. He will not allow my foot to be moved. He who keeps me will not slumber. For the Lord who made the heavens and earth will be my strength forever. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. My help comes from the Lord. My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth.
He bore it all that I might live.
In His presence live. My precious Savior suffered pain and agony. He bore it
Freely bore it all
that I might live.
I with Him might live.
He broke the bonds of sin and set the captive free.
He bore it all that I might live.
In His presence live. He bore it
Jesus
all
bore
that
it
I
all.
might see His
Shining face, He bore it
Freely
all
bore it all.
that I might
I with Him might
live.
live. I stood
condemned to die.
But Jesus
Freely took my place, He bore it all that I might
in His presence
live.
live. They placed a crown of thorns upon my Savior's head. He bore it
Freely bore it all
that I might
I
live.
with Him might live.
By cruel man with spear, His side was pierced and bled.
He bore it all that I might
In His presence
live.
live. He bore it
Jesus
all
bore
that
it
I
all.
might see His
See His shining face, He bore it
Freely bore it all.
all that I might
I with Him might
live.
live. I
Stood condemned to die.
But Jesus
Freely took my place, He bore it all that I might
in His presence
live.
live. Up Calvary's hill in shame, the blessed Savior trod. He bore it
Freely bore it all
that I might
I with Him might live.
Between two thieves they crucified the Son of God.
He bore it all that I might
In His presence
live.
live. He bore it
Jesus
all
bore
that
it
I
all.
might see
See His shining face, He bore it all that I might
I with Him might
live.
live. I stood
condemned
condemned
to die.
But Jesus
Freely took my place.
All right. Ruth chapter 4. Ruth chapter 4, I mean, you talk about 4 chapters that pack a punch of just a lot here. Ruth chapter 4 is like times 3. It's all, the story is not filled with giants and battles and enemy armies, and you don't have, fire coming down from heaven and snakes and, the earth consuming. You don't have any of those kind of stories that you read in the Old Testament. But I'm telling you, this is some awesome stuff here that we have in Ruth chapter 4. And so we're gonna spend a couple of weeks as we finish out on it, and also a couple of themes that I want to come back to. I've been holding on a couple of stuff now. It's hard. I've been sitting here for 11, 10 weeks going, should I drop this? I'm going to wait. And I may slip some of it in here today. We'll see. It's going to be hard to not. But let's think about this. First of all, the setting. Let's go back and remember, Boaz and Ruth had their night together on the threshing floor during the harvest barley festival, which was a very festive time of celebration, of engagement, of courtship, of all of those things that would go with that. And the plan that Naomi has, she knows exactly what to do, where to go, when to do it. She tells her daughter-in-law, you fix up, you put on the best clothes and perfume, and you go down and you wait till everybody's gone, and you're going to lie at his feet, and all these things. And she's going to ask for that protection, remember? As she lays at his feet and asks him to cover her, just like he said in chapter 2. Remember, what has the Lord done? He's brought her under his protection, his wing. That's the idea. That's what she's asking. Be my kinsman redeemer. And so that's what has unveiled. And of course, remember, Boaz is going to say a couple of things. He's going to say, I'll do it. He's going to step up and immediately do what this closer relative, who we're going to talk about, we got to be careful because the text doesn't tell us everything, although I think it's implied. We don't even get the guy's name. I think that's clear indication that he was no Boaz in any way, shape. We'll talk about that in just a second. But Boaz, we talked about that last week. What are you doing? You're not supposed to be. Just leave that part alone, right? She's asked this of you. You're obviously he wants to do this. Just the technicality of the law. This is the time of the judges, right? Everyone does what? What is right in their own. So come on, Boaz, just. So what? There's someone closer. No, Boaz is a what kind of a man, we said? He's a man of integrity. He's an honorable man. And he says, no, there's somebody closer. We're going to figure this out. And so he's going to send Ruth home. Remember, he sends her with the barley, and this is just kind of a little bit of a dowry. There's going to be more of this to come, a pledge. And Ruth's going to come in and show this there at the end of chapter. But look at verse 18. Naomi, wow, does she come on strong at the end, doesn't she? Don't you like that? Don't you guys like? Where'd she start? What did we say? Oh, bitter, down, at least 10 years. We know this is probably longer. And now she's seeing God's hand, God's work. And look at now what she says. Wait. Let me tell you, that's indication of her faith. Faith that says, I will wait on what? The Lord. Every man and woman in the Bible of faith had to wait. Is there any example? We ran through some that I asked you. I can't think of any great men, women of faith in the Bible who did not have at some point to have to wait. Oh, Naomi, her faith has come back. I believe strongly in her redemption here. This is a feel-good, isn't it? Isn't this a feel-good story? Don't you love this? We ain't even got to the real feel-good here. All right, look here. She says, wait. See, it's out of her hands now, right? Now, they've planned, they've came up with the strategy, all this, go work in the field. I mean, waiting on the Lord does not mean, well, I'll just sit and do nothing, right? No. But now, once you've done what you can do, it's time to trust the Lord. And now it's all in Boaz's hands. And that's tough, isn't it, when we have to wait and put it, so to speak, in someone else's hands? We say, let me just take that back. Let me just show you how to do that. Let me just, give it to me. We want to take the reins, don't we? Fight for the steering wheel, so to speak, metaphorically speaking. And no, Naomi's not doing that. If anyone should have been jumping up eager and you could kind of justify a little bit, I mean, Naomi's like, all right, let's get this done. Boaz has agreed. Let's go. Come on, let's go. I mean, she's been what? Suffering, struggling. But she's now learned her faith to trust and wait in the Lord. So, love that. All right. Let's read Ruth 1, chapter 4, 1 through 6. Who'd like to read that for us? Okay, Marcia?
Boaz went to the place where people gathered near the city gates. He sat there until the close relative he had told Ruth about passed by. Boaz called to him, "Come and sit here, friend." Boaz also gathered 10 of the elders of the city. He told them, "Sit here." So they sat down. Then Boaz spoke to Naomi's close relative. He said, "Naomi came back from the hill country of Moab. She wants to sell the land that belonged to my relative Elimelech. I decided to tell you about this in front of the people living here and in front of the elders of our people. If you want to pay the widow for the land and keep it in the family, then pay her for it. If you don't want to buy the land, tell me, because I am the next one in the family who has the right to buy it. If you don't buy the land from her, I will." Naomi's closest relative said, "I will buy the land from her." Then Boaz said, "If you buy the land from her, you must also marry the dead man's wife, Ruth, the Moabite woman. Then the first child will get the land and will stay in the dead man's family." The close relative answered, "Then I cannot buy the land. If I do, I might lose my own land, so I cannot do it. You buy the land."
All right. Boaz. I'll tell you what now. He's an honorable man. He is a man of faith, I believe. He's a man of integrity. But let me tell you what he also is. He's a shrewd man. What do we mean by that? What's kind of another word? When we describe that? He's a wise businessman. What are some things that might include, just in general, if you're wise about things, especially in business transactions? Okay, look at all the picture. What else? Some of you guys that have had to deal transition and sales, I mean, what do you have to do there to kind of outfox a little bit the fox?
You present something to look good.
Yeah, that's right. Do you lay down all your cards at once? No, that's not how you do it. Now, we're not talking about being unethical and dishonest, right? We're not talking about that. But there is a way to deal with things. And there's a way to be smart and wise. I mean, he's going to get around to the fact that, oh yeah, you're going to get a wife. But he don't lead with that. He gets him on the record. But we're jumping ahead here. What is this? So you got Boaz, you got the Redeemer, the setting, you got the 10 elders. What's this public, why the city gate here? Why is he doing this in this way? Ancient times, especially city gates. What do we know about the city gates in the village or towns? It's a public place. What would happen at these gates often? Judgments would be made. Thank you. News, agreements, business transactions, contracts, so to speak. All of this would take place at the city gate as people would come in. Most places they lived on the outskirts. They had villages. They lived out in the countryside. The city, the town, if you will, was not very big, and so everybody had the point of entry, and so this is a legal setting, and that's what he needs. He's going to get witnesses. He's going to get witnesses, and he's going to get witnesses that are the what? The 10 what? 10 elders. I mean, we are talking about the leaders of the community that would exercise oversight and judgment when it comes to moral, spiritual, ethical, and even legal matters, that they would stand and give judgment. That's one of the words that you see, of course, in the New Testament for elders, for our shepherds, is elders, and that deals with often that word decisions, judgments that they would make. Elders sometimes have to settle or give judgment about matters. Maybe you've ever heard that elders have to do that in the church. They've been known to have to do that. Now, the problem is we've majored in that in a lot of our churches, and we forgot to be their shepherds as well. But anyway, that's where that comes from in the Old Testament. The elders would be the ones of Israel who would shepherd and govern. And so these guys, I mean, when they see this happen and the deal is done, that's it, right? And this is an honor and shame culture. And so you shake and you get into an agreement, so to speak, a contract. You don't pull out a day later and say, oh, wait a minute, I changed my mind now. I think I do want it. No, that's not how that worked. You would have the disgrace of the elders of the community. And so, Boaz is smart here because first he's going to get him on the record that he what? First he's what? The guy says what? Yeah, I'll take the land. Oh, give me some land. I'll add to my value and he's probably thinking, we're going to talk to him in just a second. It's amazing what he does not know. Has his head been buried in the sand? I think it has been. Or even worse, he's not exactly a man of character and integrity in the sense that, how can he not know what's happened? He's the closest relative. We're not even given his name in that sense. And so, there's just a lot of questions we have here about this unnamed close relative. But regardless, he sees, of course, hey, this is going to be good for me. Because he's looking at Naomi. I don't have to marry her. I don't have to have any children with her. She's past what? That. And so he's kind of looking at this probably as, this is a windfall. This is a windfall for me. This is a win-win. And Boaz leans into that. You think Boaz knew something about this guy? Oh, I think he did. I think he started with what he wanted, And then he's like, oh yeah, you also get the young widow who will be your wife, and she will bear you children, and this land that you're going to redeem, it doesn't stay for you. It goes through that lineage. And you're going to have to buy this land, which means he likely already had sons who had often already received their inheritance, land inheritance. Remember, it was all in the land. And so to do this, it's going to eat into his family, his sons, their inheritance, and he don't want anything to do with that. Yeah, Matt?
But the problem with it is if he doesn't know what's going on, the fact that if she is kin and he really doesn't know, he's not doing his job as a protector.
That's right.
Because anybody who has to protect a family, they've got to know.
Well, they've said, what has Boaz said? Everyone knows your story, Ruth. Where's he been?
Obviously not doing his job.
Yeah, I think so. I think, again, we have to be careful at the end of the day. The text doesn't tell us, but I think all roads point to, this guy's not up to par at all. Boaz is. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
If he doesn't know he gets hurt and everything.
Yeah, he's just a lot. He's just kind of either out of touch or I don't care. There are people that way, right? They just don't. It's not that they're cruel and mean, that he would inflict harm on anybody, but you could just go through life kind of just, I was going to say heartless. What do I mean by that? You're just not touched by what? Other people's plight? And it seems to be maybe that's what's going on with this guy. He's busy making money and advancing himself and his family, and there you go, okay, nothing wrong with that per se. But he is not a man doing, and so you see that here. But Boaz, boy, he is shrewd how he's going to talk to him. He gets him in front of the city gates. He gets him to agree, and then he when he agrees, says, now, of course, that Naomi had sons, and they had a widow, and you have the young widow, and she's a Moabite.
That was a big kicker up there.
Yeah, Now this deal is not looking so good. I got to maybe pull money out of my own sons and their inheritance. I got to buy this land. The land is going to stay with the dead son, my relative Elimelech's family, his sons that are going to be born. I'm going to marry a Moabite. I mean, this deal now is not looking so good, is it?
That was the first thing. You know, in business now, a lot of deals are made on things of how is this going to look out in the community?
Yeah.
Is this going to ruin my opportunity for business?
Yeah.
Or stuff like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, absolutely. And so Boaz, don't take man of faith, man of integrity, man of character to mean he's an idiot, that he's not shrewd, that he's not a good business person. Again, you say, I don't know, Robert, you know, Jesus told a parable one time that makes me real uncomfortable. Yeah, it kind of makes me uncomfortable too. Look at that story Jesus told one time. But the point is, you have to use wisdom. And that's what we're seeing here with Boaz in how he wants. First of all, let's go back to this. Ruth and Naomi, I don't know where they're at in all this, location-wise. I mean, but if they're getting any wind of this conversation, their hearts have got to be dropping. Yeah, here you go. You want to buy this land and redeem this that was in the family of Elimelech, our close relative. You're closer. You are entitled to it. Yes, I'll redeem it. Naomi and Ruth's got to be what?
I don't think they got wind of it at all.
You don't think they got wind of it all? Okay.
I think he took care of it.
You think he took care of it? Okay. All right. Well, later on, I guarantee you they found out how it went down. And so, you know, that's interesting here, just a lot here. So Boaz's approach is the wisdom behind it. He is, you say, well, he's manipulating a little bit. Yeah, he's doing that. He's clever. He's shrewd. Tells us a lot about Boaz. Again, we're not given all the detail. Again, this unnamed kinsman redeemer thought he would only, be given, have to take care of Naomi, but she's past childbearing. She's older. And so now to have to get the Moabite young widow, any children fathered by her with her would be legally considered Ruth's first husband, would go in that lineage, in the rights. And so this is going to start dipping into to this. And so now he's going to say, I cannot redeem it because it might endanger my own estate. Nothing wrong on principle of being concerned about your own estate, your own affairs, your own family. But I think you see more implied here in his character, that he is not Boaz. He is not a man of that deep standing and that commitment. I mean, it's easy when it's going to be to your advantage, right, to do what God says. But when it's going to be difficult to do what God says, right, this is going to be difficult for him, isn't it? Now he's saying, I changed my mind. So, and again, Boaz, I think, knows that. And he's smart how he handles him and how he approaches him. Any thoughts else on that? Comments, questions on these first 6 verses? We got some more to unpack here, believe me, but with this. Any? Okay. Yep. All right, let's look here. I didn't, before we get to the verses 11 and 12, let's go ahead and read verses 7 through 10. Who's got that for us here? I didn't have any slide notes on these verses. 7 through 10, who's got that for us? Okay, Roy.
Now this was a custom in former times in Israel concerning redeeming and exchanging to conform anything. One man took off his sandal and gave it to the other, and this was a confirmation in Israel. Therefore, the close relative said to Boaz, buy it for yourself. So he took off his sandal. And Boaz said to the elders and all the people, you are witnesses this day that I have bought all that was Elimelech's and now was Chilion's and Maon's from the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the widow of Mahlon, I have acquired as my wife to portray whatever that is, that the name of the dead may not be cut off from among his brethren and from his position at the gate. You are witnesses this day.
Okay.
Some words I cannot.
Yeah, sorry, you did good. Again, aside from some of the cultural, ancient Near East practices, again, all of this story, the Levirate law, going down to the barley festival harvest, and the threshing, laying at his feet, and covering up with all this stuff is definitely not our culture. These taking off one party, taking off the sandal and giving it to the other of a transaction. All these things, of course, are different for us, bizarre in our cultural, and I don't want to get lost here. This nearer kinsman redeemer is, again, going to go through the legal process. It's on the record. There's no changing your mind. There's no coming back. And look at verse 9 here, 9 and 10. Boaz makes this announcement to all the people. Today you are witnesses. You're witnesses of the transaction of the land that now Boaz is going to buy and to take possession of and fulfill the kinsman redeemer, the Levirate law. He's going to take Ruth as well to be his wife. And this will be to maintain the name. Remember, this is ultimately about Elimelech, isn't it? It's about Elimelech and his descendants. He's lost 2 sons, Naomi's 2 sons. But now this is going to be redeemed, and that's what all this is about, so that his name will not disappear from the family. Okay, a couple of things about that. One, witnesses. It's important to have witnesses in life at times and moments, isn't it? Why? Okay, someone could go back. What else? No he said, she said. Everybody's honest. Let's think about marriage for a moment. Because now this one I'm not reaching, okay? This is a part of he's going to marry Ruth. So I'm not, Robert, you're grabbing for stuff. No, I'm not grabbing. It's here. I'm going to draw it out of the text maybe a little bit more than what might. But you ever heard somebody say, I don't need a marriage ceremony? We're married in, come on now, God's eyes. Oh, the old God's eyes. Have I heard that one in my years of ministry? Preacher, we've been married in God's eyes. We don't need no ceremony. We don't need no piece of paper. What's this telling us? We went out in the country by ourselves, and we went out on the riverbanks, and what's this telling us? Come on. Why? Confirm what happened. Yeah, Matt?
So the 10 elders, he's trying to take over as the kinsman redeemer for this other guy. Well, so now this other guy can't come back a while later and go, well, I never had my opportunity. I was cheated out of the opportunity.
Right.
So now Boaz has got him cornered so that he can't do that any longer. So now it looks up and up. There's nothing underhanded or untoward that Boaz is doing because he's got the witnesses and it's a public profession.
Yeah. This commitment, go ahead.
When you make an agreement with witnesses, there are people to hold you accountable.
Yeah. What does it do to the covenants and commitments we make, not just marriage? Does it exalt it? Does it hold it up in high esteem? When you have this ceremony, when you have this witnesses, what's it? Yeah.
Verifiable.
It's what?
Verifiable.
Yeah. We just went off in the woods, me and her down the riverbanks, and we went out in the ocean, and we took a little boat cruise, and we just said our vows to God before each other. You see throughout Scripture the importance of a love that does not want to proclaim itself for legal purposes, for community purposes and public purposes, it's not a real love, I don't think. This is a love that says, a commitment that says, I'm doing this all legally, the right way, publicly. As Maggie says, there's going to be accountability that's going to be held. I mean, that's why we have witnesses in our public things such as weddings. And so I just wanted you to see that here, that God's always wanted this to be a part of things like commitment. And whether that's the marriage vows that someone enters into, and so on. And so I think that's it's a great lesson here. Now, he also says, it says that the name of the dead man, the name of the dead with his property, so that his name will not disappear from among his family or from his hometown. We've talked about God's preservation of what? The family. Matter of fact, I mean, what's the first command he gives Adam and Eve when he brings them together in marriage? Hello? Be fruitful and multiply. Now, I'm not even going to mention the name. Matt and Angie will know. Wonderful, wonderful, sweet older couple that was in Cleveland years ago. He was an old-time gospel preacher. I think you might be able to figure that out, Matt. It was Cordia Watson's husband. You remember him? Anyway, he was a wonderful 90-something-year-old man. I go over there to visit him. I ain't been in Cleveland very long. And, I mean, he was a straight shooter, old-time gospel preacher, just hard. I mean, hard in the sense of, man, he had a hard life. And they were just a wonderful couple that had gotten married a little bit later in their age after their spouses had died. Anyway, he's sitting there talking to me and finding out more about me, and he had a real kind of a rough, he said, I notice you do not have any children. I kid you not. This is not. Do you believe when the Lord said, be fruitful and multiply, that is a command? No, he was serious. And I said, yes, sir, I do believe that's a command. You notice my wife and I don't have any children, but we're going to be having children soon, I promise you. And he said, okay. What he wanted to know about his new young 24-year-old preacher? Where's he stand on something like that? That's fundamental, right? Now you can say, oh, well, that was inappropriate, that was out of line, that was, well, okay, fine. But can you get anything more fundamental than the first command that God gives to the first married couple, which is what? Multiply. Now, I'm not saying that every couple that they can't or whatever, or providentially they're not able to, or I understand that, okay? I understand. Maybe not even be able to adopt. I understand. That's not what I'm saying. God always gives exceptions in His laws. There's never a question about that. But, you know, maybe this in modern, even Christians' minds, this is kind of antiquated and kind of silly and kind of embarrassing to talk about, Robert. Why would you bring this up? You know, because that's kind of, well, God's about preserving family. And what we've seen, of course, in Western society and is the, less and less children and a devaluing of that, of I'd rather pursue my careers, we are too busy, we'd like to get ourselves financially established. I've heard couples say, we just like taking a lot of vacations right now, we don't want to think about blah, 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 all that. And really at its core, it's selfishness. And it's going to be the lack of preservation for a lot of families. And God knew what He was doing. And God put it at the forefront that this man, Elimelech's family name will not disappear. That's important. God's about preserving family. What do we say about the church? We are about including more in our family, the spiritual family. Yeah, Jeff, did you have a...
Maybe it's believed if you don't have children, you don't carry on your family name, it'll die with you.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and this was so critical in this culture as well. And even though I know things are different in our culture in a lot of ways, it was a part of what God wants for His people, and has always wanted for His people So now again, you don't have to have 12 children. Let's say, we may not have 12 children, but anyway. Okay, let's quickly here. Let me see my time. Okay, let's introduce. Hey, no way we're going to be able to get into these verses we're about to read. Let's read it because I want you to think about it this week. I want you to squirm a little bit this week. Somebody read, please, verses 11 and 12. Who's got that for us? All right, thank you.
All the people who were in the court and the elders said, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, both of whom built the house of Israel, and may you achieve wealth in that word and become famous in Bethlehem. Moreover, may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah through the offspring which the Lord will give you by this young woman."
All right, your homework assignment. You're going to pronounce a blessing on somebody, and you're going to say, "May they be like Rachel and Leah." I want you to think about Rachel and Leah's story. And then I want you to think about, "May they be like Perez, who Tamar bore with Judah." And I want you to go back and glance at Genesis 38 and following, and I want you to read up on the story of Tamar and Judah. Some of you have no idea what I'm talking about. Some of you might know what I'm talking about. You probably have an indication it involves something kind of scandalous. It involves sexual scandal. And so I'd like for you to read up on that. And we're going to talk about, is that the kind of blessing we want to pronounce? What's going on here? This kind of turns a little bit. And so we're going to look at these blessings and what is going on here and what is it saying and what is God doing? What's God up to? What's He been up to? And then we're going to get even more interesting with the background of Boaz, because I don't think it's come up yet. I've not brought it up. I've been holding it. I want you to also study up on Boaz's background, if you will. If you haven't had a chance, read or Google. Get a good Bible dictionary or something and read about Boaz's family origin. Who was his parents? What's his background exactly? We haven't talked much about that. I've been holding out. And so I want you, those of you got some homework assignments for next week. And we'll talk about it. And we're going to get into that big theme of God at work and ultimately Jesus. We're going to get Jesus in here. In probably 2 weeks, so as we close out. All righty. Appreciate you being here in class.